Unit 3, Human Biology and Health, Homeostasis. Here are the objectives for this section. We will define the following terms: homeostasis, poikilotherms, and homeotherms. We will explain temperature regulation in homeotherms and look at some of the behavioral methods. Know the structure of the kidney and its functions. Explain water regulation and ionic balance in kidneys. Explain water regulation and ionic balance, and explain how the skin and the liver plays a role in this. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is how the body keeps its internal conditions the same all the time. It also protects us when we're in extreme temperatures, for example when we're ill and our bodies rise in temperature, or when it's cold outside. Here are some of the difficulties that the body can face in trying to maintain homeostasis. The body requires a lot of glucose for energy, so we must eat regularly. If not, the body will struggle. From the processes of respiration and deamination, products such as carbon dioxide and urea are made. This needs to be removed by the body. Water and salt is often lost by the body due to sweat and urine. The body must balance these levels. Homeostasis continues to happen 24 hours a day. We rely on our bodies to maintain temperature during this entire period. We achieve homeostasis in 3 ways. Our nervous and hormonal systems must cooperate. Our bodies will use negative feedback mechanisms to help us. The changes that are required following feedback mechanisms must be flawless in order to bring substances back to the normal levels. Let's consider temperature. The ideal temperature for our bodies is 37 degrees. This is the temperature at which our enzymes work best. Our internal temperatures can be measured from inside, using the mouth, the anus, or the eardrum for measurement. And how is temperature regulated? We gain and lose heat to the environment. Small organisms don't need to regulate their temperature. Optimum levels are wide and varied and rely on the environmental temperatures. Larger organisms, such as humans, need a body temperature monitor. This prevents us from overheating or becoming too cold. So we've mentioned 2 types of organisms: poikilotherms and homeotherms. Poikilotherms have a body temperature that is controlled by the external environment. Examples of these are fish and reptiles. Homeotherms control their own internal temperature. Examples of these mammals are birds and fish. In comparison, we have a very specific core body temperature, whilst they have a wide-ranging body temperature. Our metabolism is also higher, so we produce more heat. Here is a comparison of internal body temperature versus the surroundings body temperature, and how reptiles and mammals compare. Because organisms such as reptiles rely on the local environment for their temperature, when it is cold, they will stay in the sun. They are also adapted in some areas of their bodies to absorb more heat. When it becomes too hot, they will find a shady place or move to water and mud which they can cool themselves down in. However, for mammals, we have other adaptations. When it is too hot, vasodilation occurs. This is the widening of blood vessels to allow more blood to flow closer to the skin. This increases the heat at the area of the skin and causes us to sweat. The sweat evaporates and cools the skin. Mammals also pant and lick themselves to cool down. For example, animals with furry coats. When it's too cold, vasoconstriction may happen. This is a reduction in the amount of blood flow close to the skin, which helps us to stay warm. Also, our hairs can stand on end. This traps air and insulates the skin, keeping us warm and reducing heat loss. Here are two more temperature control mechanisms, in addition to the physiological mechanisms described. We also exhibit behaviors to help us control our body temperature. Some of these are unique to humans, and some are shared with all animals. These include wearing or changing clothing, seeking shelter or shade, eating food that will give us enough energy, long periods of hibernation, aestivation, bathing in mud or water to keep cool, generating heat by burning fires or using heating or air conditioning. So how are these processes controlled? We need to maintain body temperature so that our enzymes work properly, otherwise this can lead to death of the body. Homeostatic control mechanisms come into play when we do things that affect our internal body temperature, such as exercise or when we're ill. The thermoregulatory center which controls this is found in the human brain. It controls body temperature. There are receptors in this region that are sensitive to temperature. They detect the temperature of the body by the temperature of the blood that is flowing past. When the receptors detect the change, the first response of the body is conscious. We think about what to do, what actions to take, what behavior to exhibit. But if the body does not achieve an optimum quickly, then automatic responses take over. Here are two diagrams of the brain. One is illustrated and one is a photograph. The hypothalamus can be seen here, just above the pituitary gland. This is the thermoregulatory center of the human body. Here is an example of negative feedback. When body temperature rises, a signal is sent to the thermoregulatory center. This triggers body responses, such as the hairs lying flat, we produce sweat, and vasodilation occurs. This then reduces the temperature of the body to bring it back to normal. When the body temperature falls and becomes low, another signal is sent to the thermoregulatory center. The response means that capillaries are constricted, there is no sweat, and the hairs become erectile on our skin, trapping air for insulation. This in turn increases the body temperature and brings it back to normal. This is an example of what is known as negative feedback. And what about extreme temperatures? Extremely hot or cold temperatures can be equally fatal. Extreme salt and water imbalance can lead to death, as can hypothermia, which happens when we're too cold. The body shuts down. Excretion is essential to helping the body maintain its constant conditions. This is homeostasis. Excretion is the way that the body gets rid of waste matter. Organs involved include the kidneys, the lungs, and the skin. Without excretion, the toxic products would build up in our bodies and damage our cells. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product of respiration. It is removed by the lungs when we exhale. When we exercise, sensory receptors in our arteries and brain detect the carbon dioxide levels. Because the carbon dioxide levels are rising, electrical signals are sent to the brain. The body is instructed to breathe more deeply. So when carbon dioxide levels increase, so does our breathing rate. This is an example of a feedback mechanism. Urea. Urea is produced when the body breaks down amino acids. Excess amino acids are converted into carbohydrates and ammonia. Ammonia combines with carbon dioxide to make urea. This toxic substance is a form of nitrogenous waste. It must be excreted from the body. It exits the liver via the blood and is filtered by the kidneys. It is then excreted as urine. Let's look at the role of the kidneys. Excretion and osmoregulation is a part of the homeostatic process. The kidneys are responsible for this. The kidney controls the concentration of compounds in our body fluids. They filter out urea from the blood, and it's removed in urine. The kidneys also regulate salt and water balance. They remove excess water and excess minerals from the body. They maintain the right mineral and water balance for the body because it's important for cellular function. How important are the kidneys? People whose kidneys don't work cannot function properly without them. Special artificial devices known as a dialysis machine can be used. Their bodies are connected to the machine for several hours. This allows the blood to be cleaned and filtered. Dialysis patients have to be very careful about what they eat. If the machine is unable to clean it, it will remain in the human body. The only other alternative is to have a kidney transplant, where either kidneys are removed and replaced, or donor kidneys are inserted. Blood enters the kidney via the renal arteries. Here we can see them in red. The blood is then filtered in the left and right kidney. Anything the body finds useful will be reabsorbed via the vena cava, and anything else that's waste, such as urea or excess ions, will be then filtered down into the bladder and released as urine. How does filtration take place? Here is a diagram of the cross-section of a kidney. These small units are called kidney tubules. They're also known as nephrons. Each one is connected to its own blood supply. This is where filtration takes place. Each nephron is about 13 millimeters long. There are over 1 million nephrons in every kidney. Here is an enlarged version of the blood supply. This section is the Bowman's capsule. This is where small-scale filtration takes place. It is known as ultrafiltration. Blood passes through several layers of cells and blood capillaries. Large proteins cannot leave the blood vessels, but water, glucose, urea, and other small molecules can. They are forced out. 15% of the blood arriving at the glomerulus is filtered out. Once filtered, substances are reabsorbed in the first coiled part of the tubule. Glucose, sodium, and water is returned back to the bloodstream. This is the loop of Henle, where urine is concentrated. At the second coil, water balance happens. Urine is collected in the duct and sent to the bladder. The bladder's opening is controlled by a muscle. This muscle contracts and opens. We learn to control this muscle early on in life. When the urine is ready to be discharged, it will pass through the urethra. The amount of water which is lost is controlled by antidiuretic hormone, otherwise known as ADH. ADH uses a negative feedback. The center represents normal water concentrations. When water concentration is low, more ADH is released from the pituitary gland. This signals the kidneys to reabsorb more water, and less urine is produced. This restores the normal blood concentration of water. When the water concentration is too high, less ADH is produced. This signals the kidney to absorb more water. This signals the kidney to reabsorb less water. And so much more urine is produced. This restores the blood to a normal water level. Here is a volume time chart to illustrate normal levels. We can see how these are quickly restored. Homeostasis in action. Blood passes through the kidneys quickly. The kidneys then produce a significant amount of liquid from the blood that passes through as urine. The more water we consume is the more urine we produce. The less water we consume is the less urine we produce. The skin is an organ that helps to maintain body salt and water concentrations. It serves as a protective waterproof layer. Sweat, water, and minerals are excreted through the skin. This can help our bodies to cool down when it's warm. This also controls the mineral balance. Kidneys must work to support the body if we sweat too much or if we lose too much fluid or minerals. What is the liver? It is the largest organ in the body, and it carries out over 500 functions. It has special blood vessels that bring blood to it directly from the gut. The liver helps to contribute to successful homeostasis. This is where the liver is located in the human body. It is tucked away slightly behind and to the left of the stomach. What does the liver do? It controls sugar levels in the body. It balances the blood's cholesterol. It breaks down protein and amino acids and gets rid of nitrogen compounds. It breaks down red blood cells. It forms bile, which is necessary for digestion. It breaks down toxins such as alcohol. And it helps to maintain body temperature. So let's summarize. Living organisms must adapt and respond to their environment to maintain a stable internal state. This process is known as homeostasis. Homeotherms have a constant and highly regulated internal environment. The body utilizes physiological and behavioral means to achieve body temperature regulation. The skin, the kidney, and the liver are all essential organs that are important in the Grade 10 Biology Tutorial, Unit 3, Question 29. Which of the following methods is different from the others? A. Aestivation. B. Pills. C. Diaphragm. Or D. Condom. The answer is A. Aestivation. Aestivation is a behavioral method of temperature regulation in hot countries. Some animals hibernate through the hottest weather to keep their bodies cool. The terms pill, diaphragm, and condom are methods of birth control. Which of the following is a harmful traditional practice? A. Using an IUD for birth control. B. Female genital mutilation. C. Using a female condom. Or D. Discrimination of AIDS patients. The answer is B. Female genital mutilation. Use of an IUD or a female condom are methods of contraception. The discrimination of AIDS patients is not a right or moral thing to do, but it is not a harmful traditional practice. Female genital mutilation is a harmful traditional practice. Question 31. Which of the following methods is correct about regulating temperature in reptiles? Is it A. Vasoconstriction, B. Panting, C. Sweating, or D. Basking in the sun? The correct answer is D. Basking in the sun. Reptiles are poikilothermic animals. They mainly use behavioral mechanisms to regulate their body temperature. Basking in the sun during cold conditions is an example of this. Question 33. The process of combining good traits from different breeds is called what? A. Associated breeding. B. Test cross. C. Crossbreeding. Or D. Selective breeding. The answer is C. Crossbreeding. The process of breeding two organisms of the same species but a different breed together to produce offspring is what is known as crossbreeding. Question 34. What is the impact of HIV and AIDS on the society? A. It leads to significant social cost. B. It increases the immune system through time. C. It reduces stigma and discrimination. Or D. It makes people loyal to their partners. The answer is A. It leads to significant social costs. HIV is common among young and sexually active people. It incurs social costs because people are unable to work, and this means they can't contribute to the power of the country. Question 36. What causes goiter? A. Excessive protein intake. B. Excessive salt intake. C. Vitamin deficiency. Or D. Iodine deficiency. The answer is D. Iodine deficiency. The thyroid gland is located on the neck in front of the windpipe. It produces thyroxine, which is a hormone that contains iodine. Without iodine from the diet, thyroxine cannot be made. The gland will begin to swell if this is the case and produce a goiter. Question 37. Which of the following methods is used to treat diabetes? A. Taking more glucose. B. Taking antibiotics. C. Insulin injections. Or D. Eating red meat. The answer is C. Insulin injections. Diabetes is a common condition when blood sugar levels get higher because of a lack of insulin in the blood. To control this condition, insulin injections must be taken. Question 38. How does the intrauterine device work? By A. Killing sperm. B. Preventing implantation. C. Preventing fertilization. Or D. Preventing ovulation. The answer is B. By preventing implantation. The IUD works by blocking the site of implantation. Question 39. What is homeostasis? A. It is the production of red blood cells from the bone marrow. B. It is the adaptation of human beings to their environment. C. It is the absorption of food in the digestive system. Or D. It is the maintenance of constant internal environment. The answer is D. It is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. Question 40. Which of the following is correct about the adaptation of snakes to a high temperature? A. Basking in the sun. B. Moving to the shade. C. Sweating. Or D. Vasoconstriction. The answer is B. Moving to the shade. Snakes are reptiles. Their temperature varies with the environment, so they move to the sun on cold days and move to the shade on hot days. Question 41. Which of the following blood components transports waste products to the kidneys? Is it A. White blood cells, B. Platelets, C. Red blood cells, or D. Plasma? The answer is D. Plasma. Plasma is a yellow pale liquid component of blood. It transports blood cells and waste products to the kidneys. Question 44. When there is no pregnancy after ovulation, what happens? A. The egg is released from the ovary. B. The follicle is formed in the ovary. C. Estrogen levels increase. Or D. Progesterone levels decrease. The answer is D. Progesterone levels decrease. After ovulation, when there is no pregnancy, the ovary reduces the levels of both estrogen and progesterone. Question 45. What is the difference between the endocrine and exocrine glands? A. Exocrine. Endocrine. Question 45. What is the difference between endocrine and exocrine glands? Endocrine glands, A. Do not have ducts, where exocrine glands do have ducts. B. Release their secretion through ducts to the site of destination. C. Are more in number in our body than our exocrine glands. Or D. Have ducts where exocrine glands do not have ducts. The answer is A. The answer is A. Endocrine glands do not have ducts, where exocrine glands do have ducts. Exocrine glands have special tubes known as ducts. These carry secretions from the gland to where it is needed. For example, the sweat glands, salivary glands, or mammary glands. Endocrine glands are ductless glands. They produce hormones directly into the blood system. For example, pituitary gland and thyroid gland. Question 46. Which of the following is the effect of FGM? It A. Increases sexual excitement. Question 46. Which of the following is the effect of female genital mutilation? A. It increases sexual excitement. B. It increases the risk of HIV. C. It reduces pain during delivery of a baby. Or D. It avoids genital infection. The answer is B. It increases the risk of HIV infection. It can also result in serious bleeding, and infections may be a regular occurrence. Question 50. What happens during ovulation in a woman? A. The mature egg is released from the ovary. B. The levels of pituitary hormone begin to increase. C. The follicle forms a yellow body called the corpus luteum. D. A new egg matures on the ovary. The answer is A. The mature egg is released from the ovary. Ovulation is the movement of the matured egg from the ovary to the fallopian tube. Question 48. Which of the following is a renewable resource? A. Livestock. B. Coal. C. Gold. Or D. Fossil fuels. The answer is A. Livestock. Natural resources can be classified into renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources include crops, trees, and cattle. Non-renewable resources include gold, platinum, and potash. How do poikilotherms adapt to cold weather? Bathing in water. Question 49. How do poikilotherms adapt to cold weather? By A. Bathing in water. B. Licking their body parts. C. Wallowing in mud. Or D. Basking in the sun. The answer is D. Basking in the sun. Sitting in the sun to stay warm is one of the examples of how poikilotherms adapt. Question 50. What happens during ovulation in a woman? A. The mature egg is released from the ovary. B. The levels of pituitary hormone begin to increase. C. The follicle forms the yellow body called the corpus luteum. Or D. A new egg matures in the ovary. The answer is A. The mature egg is released from the ovary. Ovulation is the movement of the matured egg from the ovary to the fallopian tube. Question 51. Dilation of the blood vessels supplying the blood to the capillaries in the skin is a response to what? A. High acidity. B. Low oxygen concentration. C. High temperature. Or D. Cold temperature. The answer is C. A hot temperature. If body temperature increases, the blood vessels will dilate. This allows more blood to flow, which carries heat away from the core parts of the body.